Hello everybody and welcome to the second episode of such a podcast, or maybe such a Formula One podcast. We are still thinking about the name, but for now you may be wondering, why are you saying second episode? Well, I've actually made a first episode for this Formula One podcast. However, it was weirdly taken down from YouTube, so I'm not sure why that happened. However, to summarize what happened in that episode, because obviously none of you guys would be able to hear, listen to it. Well, pretty much, yeah, this is just a podcast I'm doing during the holidays about Formula One. My favorite team is Ferrari. I used to support Sebastian Vettel, and maybe one day I'll put up the first episode again. But for now, let's talk about the second episode. To begin, I would just like to discuss the interesting calendar of Formula One and just the problems that I believe are in it, such as the fact that we do not have an African race. Me personally, I am indeed from South Africa, so maybe that plays a bit of bias in my thinking that we need an African race. However, how is it that in a world championship such as Formula One, we are able to have 24 races around the globe, yet not a single race in the continent of Africa? I'm not saying that we need to be going racing in Antarctica, of course, because who's going to be the spectators? Penguins? Didn't think so. But there should at least be one Formula One race in Africa, maybe not in South Africa, because I know Kenya, I think, has a track, but it's not the grade 4 Formula 1 yet. But there does have to be a race in Africa. And other than that, can't complain much about it without hindering someone else's opinions. But yeah, obviously that's another thing. If South Africa does come in, then the most likely track to go out is indeed Spa, which Spa is actually, I think, my third favorite track, just behind Interlagos, and Silverstone, and even Suzuka maybe. Maybe Spa's fourth, I'm not sure. But yes, so it would come at quite an expense to get Kyalami, but I do think that it was required for Formula One, sorry about that, to at least keep the name World Championship, because for now I find it absolutely ridiculous that it's called a World Championship while we're not even racing in Africa. Okay, now that little rant is out of the way, let's talk about better things. So coming into Silverstone, I believe that this is by the way, or at least I don't support Max Verstappen on this podcast. I like Max Verstappen, just don't support him. So, coming into this, I do believe that there is a big chance of Max Verstappen, I'm talking about the Silverstone Grand Prix, of course. I do believe that there's a big chance that Max Verstappen maybe doesn't end up winning the race, which would be beautiful, because firstly, the dominance right now in Formula One is crazy. Max Verstappen has won the past 5 races, and before Leclerc led for like 10 seconds at Austria, Max Verstappen had led every single lap since Miami, lap 40-something, which is ridiculous to think about, compared to the season such as 2021, where it was just such an amazing season all around. However, I obviously can't complain, being a Sebastian Vettel fan. When you look back and you witness the dominance of him, you can see that these things do happen. And obviously, I wasn't there to see Seb winning all of these championships so dominantly, such as his 9 wins in 2013 in a row, which that's a stat that I'm scared that Max Verstappen may be able to beat this season. However, maybe records are indeed made to be broken. I, however, am hoping that Max Verstappen does not win this Silverstone Grand Prix. However, who could realistically take it to Max Verstappen? Well, at the beginning of the season, you would have said someone like or such as Aston Martin with Fernando Alonso. However, it appears that maybe they have had a few stinkers of races so far. Well, obviously, if you look back at 2022, imagine saying that Alonso, well, it would have been Seb, but Alonso finishing P6 is a stink of a race for them. You wouldn't believe it. However, just because they've set such high expectations, you are expecting a little bit more from that Aston Martin. So yeah, in the past 2-3 races, they haven't been performing as well as they have been in the past. Therefore, but maybe, I don't think that Aston Martin will be able to take it to Max Verstappen. So that leaves two big options, Ferrari and Mercedes. I personally believe that Ferrari does have a big chance. However, not with Charles Leclerc. As big of a Leclerc fan I am, I do think that if Ferrari get the win this weekend, it will be Carlos Sainz that takes the win. I don't obviously have anything to back this. I just have a feeling for Carlos Sainz. But my biggest bets for the winner would have to be Lewis Hamilton. Lewis just is different in Silverstone, it seems. Every time he goes there, he performs some outstanding races. And with a Mercedes, that while Austria may have been one of their worst races so far this season, that Mercedes is looking fast and might be getting a few upgrades. I'm not actually sure for Silverstone. So yes, I do believe that Max's and Red Bull's win record will come to an end, or win streak will come to an end, and I think that it'll be Lewis Hamilton that will be able to take it from him. If it's not Lewis Hamilton, and if it's not Carlos Sainz, then maybe, just maybe, George, maybe not. Yeah, but other than that, I don't think anyone really realistically could win this weekend, except for Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, and Carlos Sainz. So yes, that is my prediction for the podium. Let's actually do that quickly. My podium prediction will be Lewis Hamilton P1, Max Verstappen P2, Carlos Sainz P3, just because I have a feeling. I don't know why, don't know how, I just have a feeling that this is how it will happen. Along with this weekend, Brad Pitt's movie filming will be taking place, which is quite interesting. And I am not the biggest fan of this, to be honest, because, well, maybe the movie will be good, and that's great and all. But Brad Pitt obviously didn't get too invested in the Formula 1 community, as last year, I can't remember which race it was, when Martin Brundle was interviewing him, Brad Pitt just pretty much ignored him and was very rude. So yeah, if that didn't happen, I would have a lot more open-mindedness for this race. But it almost feels a bit weird, like they're being treated almost as if they're a 11th team, sorry. And yeah, I just find it weird. Obviously, they won't be racing alongside all the drivers, because that would be extremely dangerous. But yeah, I just find it weird how they got in there. Yeah, Formula 1, I'm not sure what's happening to it. But I think that is around it for this podcast. Thank you to anyone who listened. I do not believe many did. And yeah, if you made it this far, thank you very much. Leave some comments down below on what you think we should name this podcast. And finally, to finish it off, goodbye. That's definitely what I said. I definitely didn't try putting anything cringe in there. Bye, guys. See you next time. Bye, 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 bye.